Hello, Kwanza Global family. We are back with episode 3. So, this episode is called One on One. So, this episode is basically about being your own competition, one on one. So, it's just literally about being your own competition. Like, nobody else. You're not competing against your friends, competing against your rivals or what have you. You're not competing against anyone, period. Just yourself. You just want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to be better than you were last week. You want to be better than you were last year. Just constant progress. So that's what this episode is about, one on one. When I actually came up with the topic and the title for this episode, just crazy how things work together, but I hadn't thought of this example when I came up with this, but it's crazy how it just works together. But I don't know if you guys have ever I must have been, I don't know what year it came out in, but if you go on YouTube and put in Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan, if you just put that in, you'll find a commercial. It's a commercial with Michael Jordan. So like a present, so like it was like a present Michael Jordan versus his younger self, and this was like rookie year Michael Jordan. Like he had the short shorts, Chicago Bulls uniform from that time, probably 1985. This is like rookie year Jordan. Like this was like Jordan when he dropped 63 on the Celtics, like that Jordan. So it was present Jordan versus himself. So it was Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan, but it was his present version of himself. So it was an older version of Michael Jordan. So his present self versus rookie Jordan, and they were playing one on one, and they were going at it back and forth, because it's kind of a stalemate. You know, they know each other's moves, but you would think like, it's like the thing is, of course, rookie Jordan is going to be more athletic, faster, quicker, and all of that, and more athletic, in just from the athletic standpoint, and then all the skills Michael Jordan has, but the thing is, the present Jordan is gonna still keep up, because not only does he know all his moves, but he's older, so he's more experienced. He doesn't necessarily have to have that uber athleticism that he had in his previous years to still get buckets, get to his spots here and there. So it's, you know what I mean? So it's just that constant progression. It's that one-on-one. You know what I mean? He's versing himself, but the thing is, it's that progression. You know what I mean? Even though he's not as, he may not have the same, he may not be able to do the same exact things he was able to do during his younger years. His present self, has progressed and adapted. So it doesn't matter. He can get to his spots. He can, fake you out. He can still do whatever he wants to do. And you might even say in a more efficient way, because he doesn't have to expend as much energy, because he's not dunking over anyone, because he's a little older. But the point of that is, it's that one-on-one. It's that one-on-one thing that's going on here, where it's like, you know what I mean? It's almost like it's like you can't, you can almost be able to gauge where you're at and kind of see where you need to improve and whatnot. But it's just the dopeness of it. I just love the commercial, because it illustrates what this is all about, as in being your own competition, right? You're just trying to beat yourself, you're just trying to be better than, like, put better work out than you did the last time, if possible. Make it a little slightly better. Let me try it this way since I did it that way before. See how this works out. Back and forth, back and forth. It's like, oh, I used to do it this way because for whatever reason, maybe you used to do something this way because you were able to do things really really quick. But now maybe as you've gotten older or certain things, you're not able to do it the same way you used to do it before. So now you have to think of a better way to do it and possibly a more efficient way to do it because you can't rely on how you used to do it before, which is why I made reference to that commercial. And funny enough, in that same commercial, uh, after they've exhausted themselves playing each Michael Jordan present self versus his younger self, they're sitting on the bench drinking. I think it was a Gatorade commercial. They're drinking Gatorade, and then another Michael Jordan version of Michael Jordan comes out, and of course it's the Tar Heels, the UNC Michael Jordan, that comes out, and he's like, who got next? And the present Jordan's like, get your young bud out there to the rookie Michael Jordan. It's a funny commercial. I love that commercial, man. This is during the time where I was just watching so many throwback '90s commercials. I love those commercials. There's no commercials like that anymore. Like those are the most nostalgic, just dope commercials. And I wasn't even around for all of those at the time, But I just loved watching those commercials. But that specific one really speaks to what we're talking about here. It's like a visual representation of what we're talking about, just being your own competition. But yeah, now really look up that commercial and you'll see what I'm talking. Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan. I'm pretty sure there's a Gatorade commercial, so you can say Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan Gatorade commercial, something along those lines, and you'll find it. And it's literally present Michael Jordan versus his rookie self back in the '80s, and then at the end of the commercial, the college version of Michael Jordan pulls up. But yeah, that's literally a visual representation of what we're talking about. Just being your own competition. You want to be better than you were yesterday, a week before, a year before. You just want to be better than you were. And and the thing is, that eliminates any type of comparison, because the problem is when you try to be competition with other people, outside of yourself, you kind of look at their success and you can't gauge it. You know what I mean? And that's one thing. So that's where, jealousy comes in, comparison, where you don't think your work is as good as theirs, or, you start nitpicking and stuff like that, all these things that are unnecessary and pretty much hinder your progress, right? So all these things happen when you're trying to compete outside of yourself, because it's not, how do you gauge it? It's like this person is going through work, through hell, right? To do what they're doing, but you see the results, right? Because you're not there day in and day out. You're with yourself. I mean, you're not with that person that you're looking at, that you're competing with or comparing yourself to. So you don't know the work that they put in. If you see the work that they put in more, maybe you'll see that this is why they're where they are, and then you'll be more understanding, appreciative, and you won't be comparing, but you'll be more, you'll be able to see like, oh, this is the work that they put in to do this, or even or maybe, who knows, maybe the point is, you don't see what they're doing on their end. So for you to compare, you're making assumptions, right? So you're essentially making assumptions about what that person did to get where they are, and you're filling yourself up with thoughts and what's the word, you're filling yourself up with thoughts and just these silly notions that either you're not good enough, or how did they get to where they are and I'm still struggling, or this and that. You're just filling yourself up with stuff when, again, it's not even, you're not even there. Well, you're not there where that person is, essentially you're not there. So because you're not there, it's kind of hard for you to gauge, you know, such comparison. You're comparing, what are you actually comparing? Their results to your results. What makes their results better than your results? You know what I mean? What is it? It's like, why do you want so much to be like, because before you even saw their results or whatever they were doing, there was no problem. There was nothing to compare. There was nothing. So either you're not putting enough effort, or you just put in your head that because they're doing what they're doing in the same, you know, basically in the same field, you know, you guys are in the same field, so they're doing something, you're doing something. So either you feel threatened about their success or what looks like success to you, right? Or what looks good to you, because otherwise you wouldn't feel some type of way, right? So sometimes we have to check ourselves, and it's like, why are we comparing ourselves to what anyone else is doing? Whether it's successful or not, what are we looking at? You know, what are we looking at? We should be competing with ourselves, because we can gauge, we know how much effort we put in to what we're doing. We know what uh we know what the work we put in, you know, how much time we put in. So we have to check ourselves. And it's like, why are we comparing ourselves to what someone else is doing? You know what I mean? We could get feedback. We can, it's different if you go out and ask and be like, yo, I like how you did that, with the lighting or with the effects. You know how to do that. Or, you can reach out and try to get feedback. That's beautiful, kind of thing. Um, but to compare and start, beating yourself up or hating on the other person because, you know, you're feeling kind of some type of way, because, you're maybe you don't think you're where you're supposed to be at with whatever it is you're doing. That's not a good way to go about it. You know what I mean? There's so much goes wrong when you're trying to look outside of yourself and then try to understand why that person got to where they are. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has their own journey, their own work to put in. So you're again, you're drawing assumptions every single time, or you're thinking of how it could be, because you're not there to really know what that person did, what work they put in, what work maybe they didn't necessarily put a lot of effort into. You don't know, maybe, but what is that? I mean, what level? Like, who are you to even um really comment on that, or really care so much about that? Because you know what I mean. It's not your business at the end of the day. I mean, it's not. You know what I mean. You still got to focus on you. So that's not gonna affect. So if you're not producing, it has nothing to do with the next man or the next woman. It has nothing to do with them. That's on you. You know what I mean? So comparing yourself and looking outside of yourself and trying to, and again, on both sides, either hating on that person or beating yourself up and hating on yourself because you don't think you're up to par is nonsense. Because you're not. You know what I mean? What? Why? When did they? Why did you suddenly make them the you know the placeholder, or the mark of success, or validation? You know what I mean? They're just doing what they're doing, right? They're just doing what they're doing, but you're trying to kind of peek in and trying to uh you know create a story that's not yours, right? You're trying to create a narrative that's not yours in your own head about things that really could be true or not true, and then try to apply it to yourself in some way, and then you start feeling down or feeling spiteful. It doesn't make sense. All right, it's not a good way to go about it, which is why competing with yourself is fine, because you know where you're at with it. You know how much work you put into it, so you can either be satisfied and and you know, you could be respectful about the work that you put in. I mean, you can respect the work that you put in and understand the work that you put in, and be completely fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, I put the work in for this, and this is fine. You know what I mean? Or like whatever, I put this out in a real way. I put this out. I put the work in for this. I checked all the boxes that I wanted to check as far as how I wanted it to go, um, and this is it. How everyone else is doing it is how everyone else is doing it, but this is the work that I put in, and it's good. You know what I mean? It's fire. So you know what I mean? You can do that. You can have that battle with yourself. You can, have that competition with yourself. That's perfectly healthy. That's perfectly fine. You're progressing. And the lighting on here, it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, people can see my face. I mean, I'm good. You know what I mean? People can hear what I'm trying to say. But I feel like if the lighting was a little like this or like this, it'd be even better. You know what I mean? Just, little, you know what I mean? Kind of stuff like that. That's healthy. It's like, why don't I just, you know what I mean? Not beating yourself up about it, but, kind of just like, maybe I could do this a little better. Because, when you're your own, competition, you're just trying to better yourself each and every day. You're focusing on, little stuff that can help you become better. You're more focused in on that. But when you start comparing yourself to other people, you you're trying to create a story and a narrative that you don't understand. You're not there. So it's like, I want my lighting to be like that. It's like, yo, you have, you know what I mean? Like, then you start doing things that don't make sense. It's like, oh, let me get that equipment because, that person, this YouTuber got, not only does he have 1 million subscribers, and he has that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that must be something I need to get. You start conceptualizing. It's like, all right, you got the equipment, but was it necessarily necessary? It's like, where you're doing, okay, let's see, wherever you're vlogging or whatever you're doing, it's like, I mean, there's lighting there. So do you really need to get this $1,000 equipment just because this, this famous vlogger has it, and it's like, yo, it must be part. You know what I mean? Like, you start kind of putting things together that may not apply to you. You know what I mean? That's why you have to focus on you, because now you're trying to kind of piece things together from someone else's life and add it to yours, but in a way that was not. You had no insight into why that was done that way, or why the person did it that way, or you know what I mean. So you're just kind of doing things haphazardly, like, all right, I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna grab that, and it's gonna work because that person did it, and that person's success means that everything that they're doing must apply to you. Doesn't make sense. Which is why those get rich quick schemes and all that stuff doesn't work, because you have no insight onto what they're talking about. They're telling you the results that people have had, or the results that they want you to hear, or whatever the case may be, but you have no insight onto their intention behind it, or the reason, the in between the lines, or you're not there, essentially you're not there. You're not there day in and day out to really get the understanding of why they're saying what they're saying, what they're really, where their vision is, what their aim is. So you're just kind of like trying to assume, or you know what I mean, unless you're with them asking them questions and such, you're just drawing conclusions of what you think you should do by looking at someone else from a very limited scope. All right, one-on-one, be your own competition, one-on-one, that's it. You know what I mean? And just in general, um in like, if we're talking like sports, like playing one-on-one, you know whether it's basketball or like football, where it's like you're, like a receiver versus, the corner, like those one-on-ones, or in a lot of sports, or soccer. It's like, if you play one-on-one, like, obviously you can't play one-on-one with yourself, obviously, but like just one-on-one with you and another person, that even, depending, also it depends on what you're trying to work on in general. But those type of situation one-on-ones really, they helping out and help you better yourself, because it allows you to kind of work things out, work on your game in a competitive way, where you're both kind of like essentially trying to you're trying to outdo each other, you know what I mean. But in this case, in as far as this doing, um, you know, putting in work and just progressing in life, you know, um, from a from from that standpoint, playing one on one in yourself is obviously very. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it's healthy, and it's needed, because again, we can't go through life, you know, just the way we are and just stay there, just practically speaking, because we would never grow, we would never get anywhere, you know what I mean. We just wouldn't. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean, like it applies no matter what. At some point, there's certain things just call for you to change. And if you don't, I mean, if you don't, you don't, all right? But, there's certain things just require you to act out of, the way you used to be, in a certain sense, you know what I mean? Like, at some point as a kid, you had to, uh, um, at some point as a kid, you had to, call your parents for certain things. You had to call your mom for certain things, call your dad for certain things. As you grow older, it's not an act of, oh, I don't need my parents. It's the fact that you've grown, you've progressed, and there's certain things that you know how to do from watching your parents do it. So now you can do it yourself. Um, everything is about progressing and change. It's about being better, being more, you know, uh, figuring out how you can do things, better each and every day. And when you can do that for yourself, you can do that, you can help others as well. You know what I mean? Because you can't help others when you yourself, you're kind of like, yo, I don't know what to do myself, so I don't know how I can help you. You know what I mean? Like, when you're constantly focused on, and not in a selfish way. It's not like me, myself, and I. It's not like that, where some people will get it like I'm only focused on myself. It's only about me. It's this is where it's just kind of like, you know what I mean, where it's just like me kind of thing, where it's like I'm only focusing on me this year. Like, this is like I'm making sure I prioritize myself. I mean, if you weren't, you know what I mean, like, well, why wouldn't you prioritize yourself anyway? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you know what I mean. That should always be a thing. You know what I mean? But maybe I think people come to that conclusion when they start saying stuff like that, where it's like, may, you know what I mean? So, because then you're saying it in a way as if you're blaming other people for you not prioritizing yourself. You know what I mean? It gives that undertone, but it may not necessarily be the case. But sometimes that's how it gives, where it's like, I mean, you should be prioritizing yourself. Now, if you feel like you weren't doing that, then you maybe have to, again, focus on yourself in a different way. Because now it is, like I said, it's something you should be doing anyway. So why weren't you focused on yourself? Now you have to focus on yourself in a way where you think and reflect, why did I feel drained and feel like I was being, I wasn't being prioritizing myself? Because maybe you were too busy looking at what, outside of yourself so much, that now you forgot who you are. You forgot what you're supposed to be doing, where you are at in your life, in this situation, and whatever it is, right? So if you're real, so now if you're really trying to prioritize yourself, it's not about shutting people off and having attitude, or you know, cursing people out, or just be like, yo, I can't help you. It's all about me this year, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's not about that. When I'm talking about one on one, you know what I mean? It's about being better than you. Like, there's certain things in your life that, well, it doesn't matter whether it's your business, you know, whether it's your business with your family, you're creating something, your brand, company, whatever it is, you're trying to. There's a certain goal, a fitness goal you're trying to get, whatever it is, you're trying to be. It could be anything. It could be a multitude of things. Whatever it is, you're trying to be better than you were before. This is not about selfish me, and tuning people out, because that's not healthy either. That's not healthy, right? One on one it's a mentality. It's a mindset. It has, the thing is, when you want to prioritizing, it has nothing to do with other people. You know what I mean? This doesn't mean other people shouldn't be talking to. That doesn't make sense. It's about you, you know, really. You have. It's about understanding the world around you and where you are in it more, in a more clearer way, in a more distinct way. When it's about you understanding where you are, and whatever goal you're trying to get at, whatever where you are, and whatever the next step is in building your brand, your business, wherever you are, it's in relation to that, right? So you're not you're doing it selfishly, where you're distancing yourself and you're cutting people off, and you're basically, now you're hurting yourself as well, because we need people around us. We need healthy relationships, not only with ourselves and with other people. In general, you don't have to have 2,000 friends, but you need healthy relationships, and we need that. We need relationships. We need people to help us carry the burdens that we have. So again, it's not a one on one. Again, is about how you operate, as far as whatever it is you're doing, however it is as you're moving throughout your life and progressing. It's like, how can you be better? It's a positive thing. How can I be better? You know what I mean? It's like, maybe yesterday you weren't feeling so hot. So maybe, tomorrow you're kind of like, you check yourself. You know what I mean? You check on yourself. It's like, why? Maybe yesterday wasn't such a good day. It's like, what happened? What happened? What today will be a better day, but how can I make it today a better day? I'm going to have control over over my reactions, right? Maybe something like that. It's like, when people, when certain things get me irritated, what I can control my reaction, because a lot of times when I react, it backfires on me, right? It backfires. I look like the bad person, right? And whatever I was reacting to a couple of days later, I mean, if it was that bad, I'd probably still be on my mind right now. You know what I mean, kind of thing. It'd still be affecting me in some type of way. It's not. It was something that would have easily blown over. That kind of thing. It's like you check yourself. It's like, I'm going to be in control of my reactions, of my actions, and because no one else is forcing me to do these things, I'm in control of that. You know, if I burst out, if I say this and say that, nobody's telling me or forcing me to say these things. Nobody can do that. I have that control over doing stuff like that. So stuff like that, where it's like, you gotta think. It's not like you just wake up, eat, go to work, sleep, repeat, and you just, we're not robots. So we have to progress. We have to think. We have to adapt. To a little. If you're trying to, work out and get gains on your muscles and work out. Like you have to, you're progressing. You know what I mean? You don't, whenever you're working towards something or whenever a setback happens, you figure out why. If you're lifting weights and you get hurt real bad, you know what I mean? But you're still, but you're trying to reach a certain goal. Maybe you look into how you got hurt in the first place. Maybe you weren't lifting the proper way with the proper technique. You know what I mean? Or maybe, maybe you weren't eating appropriately. Maybe you weren't, so these things you have to, it's constant progress. You don't just go back and repeat the same behavior and then the same thing happens again and then progress. Everything is progress. Um, I do this all the time as a hooper. I love playing basketball. And Kobe used to say this too. Sometimes you can't, it's not about getting, you don't get too high, you don't get too low. Sir, you realize you have bad days and you have great days, but you take them the same way. You take them as this. Today wasn't a great day for me. Today was a great day for me. But you take them. You know what I mean. You react to them differently. Of course, when you have not a great day, you're not up like so happy about it. When you have a great day, you feel good about it. But the point of the matter is, you take them the same way in the sense that next time I'm out here, I'm going to try to play my best. I'm going to try to put in that work. But the point is, you don't beat yourself up down about it because you didn't score or you airballed a couple of times. It's like, all right, especially if this is something you're serious about, and you're not going to beat yourself up about it. But the next time out, you're like, I'm going to be better than this because I know, you know what I mean? Like me personally, I'll be like, I know this is not how I play. You know what I mean? Like if I have a bad day, it's like this is not me, and I feel some type of way about it. I mean, just naturally, but it's like, hey, next time out, next time we hoop, whether it's here, whether it's at the same place or not, the next time I hoop, I'm gonna, it's a mentality thing, and every time, this is not magic. It works every time. Like I'll have, even if I don't have the ability to consistently be on to get back on the court, right? The point is, once I've made up my mind that this has happened before, this is just part of the game. This is just what it is. But I know I'm better than this because of the work I've put in, just playing hooping over the years and knowing myself, knowing my game, and knowing how much repetition I've put into my shot and all this stuff. So I know I got it. So I'm over here. So whether or not, it's the next game, it's like I'm gonna be all right. So I play my game. I don't get into my own head. I don't allow how other people are playing, or you know if anyone is looking at me some type of way because I missed. It's like it happens. Next time I get the ball, I'm gonna shoot it if I have the opportunity. Next time, I'm gonna play my game the way I play my game regardless, kind of thing. And it's that mentality, and it works. You know what I mean? It's not magic. It's like, that literally happened not too long ago. The last time out, I played well. I played very well compared to how I first played, because I hadn't played in so long. And then after I started getting, when you start getting that work up, then it's like, man, this is how I play. I told y'all. But I don't have to tell y'all. It don't matter because I know myself. You know that kind of thing? Because then, sometimes people get caught in their whole head. It's like, yo, man, I'm missing. It's like, yo, I really don't play like this. Yo, I'm real. And it's like, you know what I mean? Those people don't know you. I mean, they could care less, whatever it is. But I know myself. So it's like, yo, my fault, y'all. It's like, better next time type thing. But it's true, kind of thing. But I know myself. So it's not about me trying to prove it to my teammate or the competition. It's like, whatever, what I mean? I'm playing. It's like, I'm not out to prove it to anyone. I know myself because I know the work I've put in, right? Understand? So that's that one-on-one where it's like, I know the work I've put in. So I'm upset and I feel some type of way because I didn't put in the work today. I didn't play as well as I wanted to play, and I'm upset because I know I can play better. I know the work I put in, so I know, how I give it up on the court. I be doing so I know that. That's why those feelings come that way. if I'm kind of just, whatever is whatever, and I don't really be moving like that, I could care less, that stuff really wouldn't get to me. It's like whatever, you know what I mean? It wouldn't get to people who don't really play like that. I mean, it's just kind of like it's not really. It's not really. It's kind of like whatever. It's like they can throw up the the ball. And it's like they're missing. Who cares? You know what I mean? They're not really adamant about getting better or anything like that. Um, so that's a different thing. But when you are and you know the work you put in and you know yourself, that's a different thing. So it's like that one on one goes in my head where it's like, all right, this is a bad outing. Next time out, bad outing. Next time out, another bad. Next time out, all right, bet we back on it. Next one, oh yeah, uh, oh yeah. It's like, oh man, yeah, oh you really are like that. It's like, man, like, you know what I mean? I'm not out here to try to prove anything. It's like I know where my where what I expect of myself, right? You know what you expect of yourself. You know better, so do better, right? You know better to do better. I know this is not how I play, so I'm not gonna act there and sit here like I don't. I'm happy with the way I played, or I don't take this seriously. No, I'm better than this. You know what I mean? Like it's a daily thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to. You don't need anyone to tell you anything or to try to prove anything to anyone. If you know who you are and you're really checking yourself, there's that one on one again. Then you know things start to make more sense to you. You start to check yourself on more things. You start to be cool about more things, more level headed, because you understand. You should have more understanding when you're on that. But when you're trying to be on the outside looking in onto other people and how they're doing all of that and start getting putting that into your own head, you're going to be all over the place because it has nothing to do with you. One on one, one on one. um so it's with anything. And again, one on one is so important because it's your mentality, it's your own head. If you're trying to look at if you're on the outside looking in, what can you really get a good understanding of? It'd be very hard. You might not even be getting a legit part of whatever narrative you're putting into your head about what's going on. Like honestly, that's why sometimes that's why you just have whatever you're trying to do. Especially speaking from building a brand perspective, since that's what this is what I'm in the midst of. This is what I'm growing right now. I'm growing a global brand. This is not you. I just have to go out there and do whatever it is I need to do, whatever it is I want to do in regards to growing this business, right? Because in growing my brand, I could look at how other people have done it. I could do all of that, and it's not a crime, and there's nothing negative in that. But at some point, I have to go out and do. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. But okay, I know better. I know how to attack this better, and then boom, it's not the end of the world. You don't die because of that. You know what I mean? You go out and do, and is as you're going through the process and you're creating, and again, it all starts with it being something you love to do and what it is your vision is and what you're supposed to be, you know actively in. It has to be that, not just any old thing, but something that's yours, that this is day in and day out. Remember, you can't clock out. This is what you're about. So again, if that's what it is, then you're not. Again, you could get feedback. You can get all of this. You can look at other people and kind of be inspired and motivated, but that's not your food. That's not gonna be your food. You cannot look at that and just rely on that. At some point, you have to go out and do. You have to go out and buy that thing and put these things together and just plan it in your head, and then write some things down, and then and just piece it together however it makes sense for you, according to how you want it to go, and then go with it. And I mean, you're gonna have roadblocks, and your life is still your life. So there's certain things that might, you know, happen along the way, but it won't hinder it unless you. It won't hinder whatever it is you're trying to do unless you let it. One on one, one on one. If this, it's always about, you cannot, because other people will say things, people will do things, blah blah blah. That 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 could be distractions, but they won't be at the end of the day. They won't distract you from whatever it is you're doing, because again, it's one on one, right? It's a one on one thing, so you're not gonna be thrown off course because you're co- it, you're trying to be better than you're trying to get somewhere, and it's between you and whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So it's just it's it's a constant one on one. You just, each and every day, you're just trying to be better. That's all. Um, People will be on the outside looking in, so they don't know your drive and your vision and all of that. So again, that's why it's like whatever it is, they can't hinder you unless you let them, right? And your drive has to be that strong with it. You have to be focused on yourself. And when you're focused on yourself and being better than you were yesterday, and all of that comes because you know who you are. You know what you're supposed to be doing. You know where you're going. You know what you're striving for. You know where you will be and where and continuing to grow and grow and grow. So that's why one on one is so important, because if you just don't know, if you're the person on the outside looking into what everyone else is doing, you how will you have time to do whatever it is you're doing, and really focus on what you're doing if you're the one outside looking, you're the one on the outside looking in on what everyone else is doing and trying to take from that. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, let me give you an example. It's like someone's fixing a car, right? What if, okay, someone's fixing a Toyota, right? Someone's fixing a Toyota, and then you got someone fixing uh, a Benz or a Rolls Royce, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. But the point is, it's two different cars, right? You're on the outside looking in. You're trying to figure out how to fix your I have to give it. So the first two, all right. You're looking at someone fixing Toyota Corolla or something, right? And then you're watching someone fix a Rolls Royce, right? What car do you have? And you have a Jeep Wrangler. Okay. So now you're the person on the outside looking. You're the person on the outside always looking in. So you're looking like, oh, that person's fixed that Corolla. So that part goes there, that part goes there, and now you start looking at that Rolls Royce. But that on that Rolls Royce they put that thing. Why does it look? How could you possibly understand or get a clear picture of how you're supposed to fix your car that has an issue, right? Right? You're trying to look over at the mechanics and the workings of a totally different car and another totally different car, and you're looking, trying to figure out. It wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean? I'm not a super car guy, but it wouldn't make sense to look at a totally different car, right? A totally different car, totally different make, totally different model, totally different creators of the cars and workings of the car, and try to figure out from two different cars, the way they're broken down, right? Someone's fixing them, and I'm trying to look out how they're fixing it to see how I should fix my car. It wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't know where to start. Especially as someone who doesn't even have experience with cars. I mean, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? My point is, if you're on the outside looking, how could you possibly? You know what I mean? And mind you, and look at it even from this, you don't even know. Let's say like you're just looking at how to. You don't even know that. Like let's say it doesn't even tell. Like to make it even more clearer. Let's say it doesn't say what car. You're look on the outside looking up, but it doesn't. You don't know what car is actually being fixed. You don't know if it. You don't. So as I gave you the names of the car, you don't know it's a Toyota Corolla. You don't even know it's a Rolls Royce. You're just looking at them fixing something that you think might be, I don't know, related to your car. It's like I'm trying, and it's like something with the engine, right? It's something with the engine. It's like, yo, man. So you're looking at someone fixing an engine. You know it's an engine, but you see them fixing an engine. You don't know what kind of car it is, right? So it's like, let's say they're just zoomed in. It's like, I'm going to show you how to fix your engine. They don't say what type of car, right? So for you know, for the purposes of this example, right? And they're just zoomed in fixing the engine, and you're trying your best to fix the engine of your Jeep Wrangler. And then let's say at the end of the video, it's like, oh, so this is how you fix the engine of a Rolls Royce. This is how you fix the engine of a Toyota Corolla. You're gonna be sick. It's like, yo, you were looking this whole time trying to fix an engine of your Jeep Wrangler, and this whole time you don't know how, how they did what they did, or what oil they put in, and you over here messing up your car because the whole time you watching them fix a Rolls Royce engine or a Toyota Corolla engine, and you have a Jeep Wrangler. It's like, what, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're looking at it and you're like, because you had no backstory, you had no insight, you didn't see the whole picture, the whole story, the whole whatever. So now you're sitting there lost because you're getting pieces or oil. You're getting oil and pieces for a car that for a car, and they're not compatible. It's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. It's like you cannot be that. You cannot go so out. You can't be on the outside looking in. At the end of the day, you'll get lost. You cannot use. You're trying to take someone. It's like trying to take, a line out of a great book, right? There's so many great books that in this world, are from different genres, different authors, just great books. It's like trying to take out a quote or a line from a book that just hits you. And then there's another book that you read, right? They have another, great. It's just another great book, and I don't know, for some reason, you're just trying to. And let's say you're trying to write your own book, right? You're trying to write your own book. You're trying to write your own book, right? And I don't know what the book is about. Let's say it's about self improvement. I don't know, anything, self improvement or anything. You're writing your own book, and then you remember there's this great line in another book that you read, in another book that you read, and you're writing your book, and you add that line to your book, and someone reads the book and they're like, this doesn't make sense, because you just added it because you thought it sounded good. Or it sounded good. It was a good quote, and not about it was a good quote. It was a good line in the book. But so let's say you're writing about no, actually, let's just make it super, straightforward. Like, let's say you're writing about cooking. I don't know, cooking, right? Like, like how to beginner's guide to start cooking, and you found a great quote from one of your favorite, I don't know, celebrities or actors, or something, and it's their biography book, and there's just a great line in there, and you just throw it into your cooking book. How to really start cooking, and it's like, but the two don't correlate. You just throw it in there because it sounded nice, or it looked nice, or it was that person's book was a New York bestseller, so let me just add this. You know what I mean? That doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? My point is, it doesn't make sense. Why would you take a great line or a great part of a book that you read from a great, for someone well known, the book sold great, well, whatever. You took that line and you added it into a book that doesn't correlate. You just added it in there because it sounded nice. You know what I mean? That's what we do when we start comparing us, and we start on the outside looking in. It's like, oh, look how that person did that, and because I can't do that. It's like, it's like, how did they do, this, that, and the third, and you start drawing, and you start trying to do what that person is doing because it worked for them, and then it doesn't look right when you do it because you're not supposed to be doing it anyway, and it probably doesn't correlate because the reason that person did it, you don't know why they did it that way, or the reason that you don't know, you're not there. The reason, if you just one-on-one was doing what you had to do, you'd be fine. You know what I mean? Because the pieces would work together. Because you'd be, again, one on one. You'd be able to figure out how things are supposed to go. Because you're focused on yourself. You're not trying to be like anything or anyone else. You know, you're just getting what you need to know, what how you want to do it, and putting it together. And you're not trying to take something that you don't know how it got there and put it into yours, or do something that you saw someone else's do and you don't understand the whole story. um you know up to this point, I think you guys understand, like, a lot can go wrong, man. A lot does go wrong when you're just looking outside of yourself, trying to piece a puzzle together, or piece your own puzzle together with a piece of someone else's puzzle piece. It's not the same puzzle. You don't even know if it's the same puzzle, or you know what I mean. You don't know if that's the right puzzle piece that you're at with it. You're just you're just judging based off what you think are the results. That you want to have so quick that you're willing to basically try to shortcut the process, or you know look at things in a very narrow way, and then use that to judge wherever you're at. Which is why I mentioned we're all on our own journeys. So now you're comparing yourself to where someone else is on their journey. Never even met that person. Why are you? What good is it for you to try to 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 just shut everything down, and stop your progress because you're what are you actually trying to catch up to? You know what I mean? Because again, we get into our own heads, because before you saw whatever it is you saw and started comparing, you were fine. The world didn't end. And if you didn't see that, I'm pretty sure you continue to go do whatever it is you're doing. But again, this also speaks to, like, not doing stuff just to do stuff, not doing stuff just because it's popular or it's trendy. 'Cause you'll quit anyway. You won't have the resolve, and you won't have you know the drive or the composure or the the this what's the word, the you won't necessarily feel the need to try to focus focus back in, to pull back in, because it's like there's no there's no you're just doing it for a short-term gain or reason, which is why all these things tie together. Everything, like purpose, your why, all these things tie together. You know, being one on one, like all these things tie together because they're all interconnected in a way that allows you to keep moving forward. To keep progressing. You cannot, and I mean, if for something that's bigger than yourself, or something that you can't quit on, right? You can't just quit. You're not going to let anything or anyone, whatever it is or however it is, you know, impede your progress. You're gonna check yourself, and it becomes a one-on-one game. You know what I mean? Once you have a vision, man, that one-on-one game it takes you different. It takes you to different levels, because it's just about being better than you were before, and it's about being better tomorrow, and then and then tomorrow that won't be your best, your next day, and then the next day. Like, you know what I mean? It's just constant, day by day. Not worried about the next man or the next woman, like I mentioned before. You're not worried about that. But it starts, you have to, you don't just wake up one day and realize that or understand that, you have to really, it's like I mentioned, it's a group of things. You know what I mean? If you don't have a, you know, if you don't know exactly it is what you want to do or whatever it is you're doing, you could fall into the trap of looking at what other people are doing, looking at other people's lives and other people's successes, and getting caught up in that and thinking there's no hope for you or you're falling behind, which is not the case. But the problem is you don't know yourself. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're capable of. You never thought about it. You never sat there and played one on one. You never sat there and played one on one. You never sat there and played one on one, and 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 try to do what it is you're afraid to do. Try to take that risk. You know, if you really think about life and want to be nitpicky, there's a lot of things that we do and people have done, throughout time that are, you know, risky or scary. But they never thought of it like that because they knew who they were. They knew what they wanted to do. You know, yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's like they knew, they knew this is what they wanted to do. So whatever risk or fear that may have been there, it couldn't triumph. It could not make its way in with with any success or with any with any success because it's whatever it is bigger than fear and the risk behind it, or the cost. Nah. So all these things that as each episode as we have these conversations, they're all all these things are connected with one another. So it's not just one sole thing that just brings it all together, but they're all intertwined. And it's like you cannot just you don't get to a point where it's like, all right, you start going one on one with yourself when you start realizing like this, like who you are and what you're here for, what you're doing, what you're about, your vision, your vision, your direction, you're firm on it. You cannot be swayed, you cannot be pushed or blown away. It's firm, it's strong, it's you know and it's unshakable, right? You cannot you can't you can't hmm, you there's no there's no person, no thing can convince you otherwise, right? That's what it is. One on one, yo, one on one. It's one on one. It's one on one. You're competing against yourself. At the end of the day, that's what you're competing against yourself. You're not who you were 10 years ago. A lot of us weren't who we were 10 years ago, physically, mentally, uh, you know, and even spiritually. You know what I mean? 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, depending how old you are, listening to this, 10 years ago, you know, uh, you know, 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40, 50, we aren't the same. We're always constantly progressing, and whether we like it or not, in some areas, whether we like it or not, we're always progressing. In other areas, problem is we're just still. And And that's the problem. Once you stop progressing, you know, there's something not, this thing's not in line right there, and you're not having enough one-on-one talk. There's not enough. Why? There's not enough question asking between oneself, and that's the type of you know that's the type of back and forth and you know rhetoric that we need to have with ourselves. We need to have that back and forth, that conversation with ourselves more, right? These are healthy conversations, right? um, we need to, because people would just going through the day and we don't even sit down and have, I mean, how many people listening have the time? Like, for those of you listening, I like, do you realize sometimes you don't, you be going through the day here and there, and it's like, do you sit down and have a moment with, like, where it's like you're able to sit down with and you can hear yourself think. Like, it's not like the TV. You don't hear the TV. It's not anyone calling you or talking to you, or you're going, or you're texting and you're trying and you're having like it's just you hearing yourself think. It's like, what am I? You know what I mean? It's like, today was a long day. Um, like, do you give yourself the opportunity? Like, yo, today was a long day. Is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this? Am I progressing and growing to where I want to be later on? Where I am now, what am I doing tomorrow? Why? How am I gonna plan for what I want to do tomorrow? How am I gonna plan for how I want to make this amount of money? How am I gonna plan for once I make this amount of money to put it into here, or to get this so I can do that? You know what I mean? Those type of planning, where it's like you're trying to get somewhere, though. You're trying to progress. You're trying to grow. You're trying to build something, create something. You're trying to, you know, we're not just sitting and just going back and forth to home without a plan. We're just, where it becomes so robotic and so and so cookie cutter and and too, without a reason. Like, we're just, it's like, why? It's like, what to what end? Where will this get you? Where are you going to be? You know what I mean? Like, who are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? Like, those, like, core questions, where does that come in? Because, I mean, realistically speaking, you cannot wait for someone to just knock at your door and ask you those questions. And even if that happens, you yourself have to register what that is and understand what that is to be able to answer those questions. So it wouldn't even matter if anyone else asks you, because again, it starts with you, one on one. It's one on one. But yeah, man. Uh, that's episode 3. Um, it's a one on one. It's a one on one thing. It's a one on one. You have to. We have to. We can't be satisfied where we're at and just be cool with it. And it's we dream about so much, we aspire for so much, but then we don't do anything to, or plan anything, or, like, everything we do is either it doesn't, it either is either contrary, or it does nothing to put us towards whatever it is we really truly say we want to do, if we say we want to do those things, and then if we don't say what we those are those dreams that we want, if we don't get to, if we haven't even gotten to that point yet, why aren't we dreaming or talking about or thinking about more? Why aren't we thinking about more, bigger and better, and why? For ourselves and for those, and then consequently for those around us. Why aren't we thinking about that? One-on-one. It's one-on-one. One-on-one. Yeah. That's episode 3. One-on-one. But yeah. Ooh. Glad I got this one in. I love y'all. Kwanza Global family. My family. Thank you for listening in. I appreciate y'all. This was needed. this was needed. This was definitely needed. So that's episode 3. But man, one-on-one. It's real. But hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Hope y'all got something from this episode. Just gonna be better than we were before, than we were yesterday. Just day by day, just progress. Just progress. So yeah. All right, family. Once again, we'll be back again next week. Dropping again, another Friday. Till then, first be you. Kwanza Global, out.